Hello again, everybody. Les East, Brian Allee-Walsh with NewOrleans.com. It's Labor Day Monday out at Saints Camp, and Les, as we've suspected all along, Sean Payton continues to tweak this roster as they get ready for Thursday night's season-opening game against the Minnesota Vikings. The change today is they released tight end Torrey Humphrey, kind of a luxury, a fourth tight end on the roster, and signed an 11-year veteran linebacker Danny Clark. Saints fans may be familiar with Danny. Played here in '06, actually had a hand in this organization's best season prior to last year. Played in all, I think, 15, 16 games in a reserve role in '06, and is now back here. And he's back here to play linebacker for this team.
Yeah, it was a move that was made out of necessity because of all the injuries they have at linebacker. They needed to bring someone else in, at least for the short term. We may not have seen the last of Torrey Humphrey. Once things shake out at linebacker down the road, it's possible you'll see him again. But for this week at least, they need another linebacker. Danny Clark is someone they were familiar with. Actually was just here a couple of weeks ago with the Houston Texans for the preseason game. And like you said, Torrey Humphrey was sort of a luxury, so they were able to waive him to make room for Clark. Perhaps he comes back at some point, but right now they have to get enough linebackers to be able to play defense on Thursday night.
There were a couple of additions and deletions on the practice squad. You can go to NewOrleans.com and read all about that. From an injury standpoint, today Sean Payton had to submit the practice status of all those injured players, and take a moment to go over some of these names, please.
Yeah, okay, actually, and 3 guys practiced fully today, and one of those ties into what we just talked about. Tight end Jimmy Graham was able to practice fully, so we would expect he'd be ready on Thursday night. That gives them 3 healthy tight ends. Therefore, the move with Torrey Humphrey, Pearson Prelow, the new special teams captain, practiced fully, as did Marcus Colston, who is a late addition to the injury list. Apparently, he suffered a bruised kidney in the game at Tennessee the other night. Apparently is not serious, but he was on the injury list today, but he practiced fully. So those 3 guys would appear to be in good shape for Thursday night. Now, the 3 guys who are limited were Jonathan Vilma, the middle linebacker, cornerback Tracy Porter, who's kind of had a knee issue off and on for a few weeks now. We don't have a whole lot of detail on exactly what happened and when. And then Zach Streif also practiced on a limited basis today. And then the 2 guys who did not practice, who are least likely to be available on Thursday, based on that fact, would be linebacker Stanley Arnew and running back Chris Ivory.
Yeah, the one injury that has intrigued me for really the last maybe 7 to 10 days is Tracy Porter's. He injured himself in the second quarter against the Houston Texans, so you're talking 3+ weeks ago, if my calendar is correct, and we do not know the extent of the injury, and it's purposely being handled that way. It'll be interesting to see what transpires on Thursday night. I can say this: if Tracy doesn't play, you'll probably see Randall Gay in that starting role. Again, this is just supposition here in the event that Tracy can't play. They'd probably go to him and move Patrick Robinson into the nickel and dime role then. But again, that's all speculation on our part, and they do not have to list the actual injury situations, whether it be questionable, probable, doubtful, until tomorrow with the league office. So we'll keep you informed on that thing. But as far as our access tomorrow with the team, it is closed to the media tomorrow. It's kind of unusual. Coach Payton says it has a lot to do with the structure of this week, the early game time on Thursday night, so don't read a whole lot into it. But we do have access as a media group on Wednesday, which is their normal walkthrough day, which is it's like watching paint dry. But that will be our next access.
And another thing, Sean Payton was asked about the linebacker situation today, and we're not going to do anything until they come out and line up on Thursday night, and they actually announce the inactives prior to the game. So it's pure conjecture as to whether John Velma will be available. As to what they'll do on the outside, whether Scott Shanley stays on the strong side or moves back to weak side, Jolan Dunbar presumably would be in the other spot from wherever Shanley is, but we're not going to know that until they line up on Thursday night.
Okay, so for updates and the practice roster deletions and additions, you can go to NewOrleans.com this afternoon, and throughout the evening there'll be updates. So for Les East, I'm Brian Allee-Walsh with NewOrleans.com. We'll see you next time.
When you get wild, you won't